Hi folks, James Riley of Courage, New Hampshire and Colony Bay Productions. You know, from our very first show, we got a lot of responses that went kind of like this. It's nice, it's beautiful, we love it, but it sounds like it's a little, colonial or something, like the language. 18th century language is really not that far from our own. We're going to show you in this show between shows, which we call Courage Talk, how to speak 18th century. We're going to roll the first 2 minutes of our first episode. It's an exciting fight scene, and then we're going to come back and talk a little bit more about it.
So, did you find your kidnappers?
No. Kidnappers? If the report hadn't come from Colonel Wyman himself, I would not have put any stock in it. Except for you. We haven't had a guest for a fortnight. What sort of a devil takes hostages in the winter?
Do you keep the tavern?
Aye.
Fair warning. A dozen blackguards took our prisoners out on the King's Highway.
Prisoners?
Deserters. We're with the 29th.
We heard there were kidnappers on the highway. If you're with the 29th, why aren't you wearing your regimentals?
Never mind the regimentals. There he goes, Bob.
You're under arrest, friend.
Arrest? You? You keep a bloody tavern.
Okay, as I said there, anything even a little remotely archaic, we translated into modern American suburban English. So let's go into the detail on some of the finer points.
Fortnight equals...
Okay, fortnight. This is a great one. When I was a kid, I heard the word fortnight, didn't know what it means. It means 2 weeks. It comes from the term of how long you were assigned fort duty when you're guarding the frontier. Fortnight. I'm going to say they're a fortnight. I'm going to say they're 2 weeks.
Keep.
Keep, I love this one. We hear the word keep a lot. We use it completely differently than they did in the 18th century. You've heard of the word shopkeeper? Well, back then you kept the tavern, you keep the tavern, you keep a shop, you keep a bakery, and it was a way of saying, a more elegant, rustic way of saying administer or manage. I like to think I keep the tavern. My wife doesn't think so.
Yeah.
I love this one. I just means yes.
Blackguard.
Blackguard. This is an interesting word. It's one of those words that doesn't sound the way it's spelled. It's spelled B-L-A-C-K-G-U-A-R-D, blackguard, but it's pronounced blackguard, and it means a really despicable, low-principled person. And if you hear it in 18th century literature, or you see it in an 18th century movie, he's saying, look at that low-life scum. Blackguard. A blackguard. Blackguard.
Regimental.
Blackguard. Regimental. All right, regimental referred to a frock coat with colored facings with the regimental insignia of the unit that you were assigned to in the 18th century. So when, I believe it's Mrs. Bennet in Pride and Prejudice said she fell in love with a young fellow who wearing his regimental, she's talking about his uniform. Regimental equals uniform for all intents and purposes.
Bloody.
Bloody. You know what? There's two things I know about the word bloody. First of all, Americans should never use it because we sound silly when we use it. But it's really an intensifier. It sounds better in the 18th century because if I had to translate it into modern American vernacular, I'd lose my Dove rating. No, bloody. Folks, you can start talking courage by watching courage by going to colonybay.net. It's exciting, it's tense, it's romantic, it's beautiful. It's the 18th century America. It's our founding era. I think you should watch it. You should get the kids, spend $1.95 and rent a video on demand. Or if you really want to help us out and become an executive producer, you can spend $5,000 at Indiegogo. We're not expecting a whole lot of people to do that, but every once in a while you get a really wealthy person who cares about good entertainment and the future of the country. We hope to see you at colonybay.net.
So how long are you going on vacation for?
I think we'll go for a fortnight.